Let's bring in Dave Thomas. Not only was he covering Rider practice today, he showed up with bandages, crutches, wheelchairs, band-aids, you name it. The walking mash unit, known as the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dave, injuries, once again, the top story. Let's start there. Who's hurt and going to be out of the lineup for the Riders?
Well, out of the lineup for a while, and now on the 6-game injured list is CJ Avery. He has a shoulder injury or bicep injury, so it's a long-term deal. He may get back for the end of the year, but CJ Avery was not on the practice field today. Kian Schaefer Baker, not on the field either today. Now, apparently, some have seen him on a scooter type deal or on the sidelines, so it isn't a season-ending injury, and they're not going to rush him back, but it sounds like it could have been way worse than what it is. But again, it is going to be a while before he gets back onto the field. Also, we learned that Peyton Collins has a knee issue. He wasn't at practice. Thomas Bertrand-Houdon, he kind of got nicked up a little bit during the workout today, so he also didn't fully participate. However, the good news is that back on the field was AJ Ouellette. He basically took part in almost everything today, as did Roland Milligan Jr. So some solid signs there. Again, you never want to have anybody go down with injury, but that's kind of the status where it is. And I don't think it's the sky is falling type situation.
It just seems that the bad luck continues, and it's kind of like year 5 as to, some of these, you feel for him, like you said, with Avery, if he may be done for the year, and like Don said, he watched him during the game. Did you see him playing with his injury? Because like that's what Don said, you could tell something was up. But if he gutted it out with a torn bicep or whatever it is, thank you, CJ Avery. Rider Nation appreciates what you were doing, man. That would have been incredibly painful.
Well, you've heard the whole saying before, right? I'd run through a wall for someone. And that's what the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2025 will be doing, whether it's for their head coach, whether it's for the player next to them, whether it's for themselves. The motivation is sensational among this group, and the willingness and I don't want to say ability, but the willingness and the way that this team goes about saying that, hey, nothing is going to slow us down. There's a lot of intestinal fortitude with this group.
Kadeem Carey was on the field for the Riders today at the indoor practice, correct? And if he was, how did he look?
He was there. He took limited reps behind AJ Ouellette and Thomas Bertrand-Houdon, who were both on the field, of course. It's interesting is the Riders signed him, but Kadeem Carey has been signed to the practice roster, and he was very forthcoming after the fact. Hey, I know what my role is here. I'm coming in as a guy on the practice roster. I want to play football. I love the game of football, and Saskatchewan is the right fit for me, and I know that. So he's coming in to provide leadership. Obviously, he can run the football as well, and he's got to soak up some of the playbook as well. So he just arrived yesterday, so his reps are limited, but that's what you'd expect from somebody that's on the practice roster, and that was very front and center and clear. Coach Mace addressed it. He addressed it in Kadeem Carey himself, saying, hey, I'm on the practice roster. I've got to earn a roster spot, and right now the running back room is pretty full.
With Kian Schaefer Baker going on the 6-game injured list, Keyshawn Johnson and Sam Ellis, I think it's safe to say, are two of our, if not two, best receivers on this roster. But you've got to know, even with Hamilton's young defense, they're going to key in on that. Other guys have to step up because they're going to need to spread the ball around. That means Mitch Picton. That means Del Duncan Busby. That means Donnie Myers. Like, everybody is going to have to go. You can't just go to Emilus every play or Keyshawn Johnson because it'll make it too easy for Hamilton.
Well, you're right. But again, as Coach Mace will say, and again, I love using his terms because they're motivating, and the fact that the standard is the standard. They have established, here's the standard that you need to play. And he talked about it with Kadeem Carey yesterday, right? When he said, when we brought him in, we wanted to raise our floor, right? So that's what he's looking at doing. And with the receiving core, like, I don't think, you know what, it's a blow not having Kian Schaefer Baker there. You could hear it when I spoke with Trevor Harris today, for example. You could hear in his voice that, he's concerned that, this is one of the top receivers in the Canadian Football League, and they're going to be without him for a while. But You got to have full confidence. Samuel Emil put up 133 yards. We've seen what
Yeah.
Keyshawn Johnson can do if he gets an opportunity. And again, you listed it, right? And there's always going to be an opportunity. And so there is an opportunity now. Tommy Neal is still injured, didn't participate in practice today. So that might mean we see Deshaun Mims elevated to the game day roster as a Canadian receiver. Again, he's showed well in training camp. You want an opportunity? Well, now is your opportunity. You know the standard you must meet in order to keep that opportunity.
The one thing about Kean Schaefer Baker, much like Dino Lewis last week, when he's on the field, you have to pay attention to him, and he usually will open up something. Just his big body and his presence, him just running across the formation, will usually do something or draw something. And it's not that the Riders won't have other guys doing that, but he's such a physical and imposing threat that even when he's not getting the ball. Now, Del Duncan Busby last week, a lot of blocking plays, not necessarily a ton of balls coming his way. Do you think that, all right, if he's part of the crew and he's already in, he's not next man up, but do you think that there may be more balls coming that way for Del Duncan Busby? Because when they have gone to him in the past, all he catches and gets first downs.
Well, and that's just that's the beauty of the offense, really, the way that it is built. It is built upon progressions and reads. And I would submit that Trevor Harris, one of the best in the business at making a pre-snap read, has a pretty good idea where that football is going to go. And if you look at the numbers from last week, he actually had the quickest release time in the entire Canadian Football League. Don't tell him I said that. We want to keep it on down low. But in saying that, he'll understand where the defense is and what will be vulnerable, and then he'll attack that. And maybe this week it's going to be Del Duncan Busby has a big game. That's perfectly fine because you've got players that are capable of doing that. Last week, it just happened to be Samuel Emilus who had a favorable matchup and some opportunities to go ahead and capitalize on situations that presented themselves. So, again, do you have faith? Absolutely. You have to have faith in the receiving corps that's been assembled. And you know that every guy is going to have his day in that room. It's just, are you ready for the day when it is your day?
If we flip back to defense, CJ Avery is going to be out. Is this where an Antoine Brooks Jr. may fill that spot on defense, taking the place of Avery?
Absolutely. It's a possibility, but AJ Allen was there right there all the way through camp. He had a sensational year last year. So maybe he gets more defensive reps. Of course, when you look at his special teams work, he seems worthy of making that progression into a bigger role in the defense. And who can forget the big interception that he had against BC last year? So he obviously knows how to play the spot. Yes. Will this team miss CJ Avery? Of course they will. He's an amazing athlete. But at the end of it all, the depth has been created by Jeremy O'Day, Kyle Carson, the entire football ops team to make sure that they can weather this storm because you're not going to get through an 18-game schedule clean. Unfortunately for the Riders, it's just started off a little too early for most people's comfortability.
Now, if they do go AJ Allen at linebacker, he's a Canadian, so which means that they could change something else. But if with Ford hurt and you've got Dalkey and Lacombo safety because Dalkey is playing linebacker and all of that, like it can open up things, but it can also cause other things because you do need a back, like you said, you need a backup. Like the Tavon Campbell works because Kerfe is backup. Like, so you've got that. And I loved AJ Allen. I thought he was great. I thought Antron Brooks played it great and all through camp and through the preseason. He's been waiting patiently. He was on the practice roster. Speaking practice roster, Braxton Hill is back. He was on the practice roster last year for a month when things expanded. He was invited to camp. He played the preseason games. Then he was cut, now brought back. We saw this with Fry. Did you see anything about him that maybe is like pep and step, second chance, something's changed? It was taken away, but now it's back.
I tried to kind of get a read on his demeanor, and it was very much like Noah Zare up in Saskatoon. Noah was, of course, released and came back a few days later, and it's very much just a workmanlike attitude. Like, hey, I missed you guys. I'm here. Let's get back to work. And there doesn't seem to be any animosity. Everything has been done respectfully, right? So once you've gone ahead and fostered those relationships, you can go ahead and go back on those relationships, right? So again, there's a big opportunity. Like one guy we haven't talked about is Malik Straker, and he's done a terrific job as well, right? A fourth round pick last year. of the Riders who made the team and in his second year out of Arkansas State. So he too is a guy that could factor in as Aubrey Miller Jr. as well in that linebacking core. So there's options. And when your backs aren't against the wall, right? Last week, Ottawa had their backs against the wall a little bit when it came to the ratio. The Rough Riders are nowhere near that right now, which is a very big positive.
The trip to Hamilton this week, it'll be a big test because I think Hamilton, it's a home game, a home opener. I think they're probably going to play better than they did against the Stamps because it's another week under the belt. Darian Durant said yesterday he smells blood in the water with Hamilton. The Riders are going to be all over this, and he's expecting big things when they go on the road. All right. He's on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Practice was moved indoors today because of the smoke. And there was a chance to get back to work after the big win on Thursday. We talked injuries. CJ Avery is pretty much 6th game, but could be longer done. Kean Schaefer-Baker is on the 6th game. We don't know. Peyton Collins, 6th game with a knee. Am I missing anybody else that was 6th gamed off the walking wounded list for the Riders?
No, I think you nailed it. I think that was everybody. So, yeah, those are the big ones. And obviously there's concern there. But again, you go forward, next man up, like it or not.
You had a chance to catch up with Trevor Harris. And there's one guy. As long as we got Mr. Harris upright and playing, I think for a lot of us in Rider Nation, all right, things are good. It's not a panic situation or whatever. There's a lot of next man up. And you had a chance to ask him, what does Kadeem Carey, the newest signing, bring to this Saskatchewan Roughrider team?
Good veteran presence. He's a great running back. I mean, he's one of those guys where, he can put his foot in the ground and get up to top speed in a hurry. And that's a gift. And, you never know. It's a long season. You never know when he's going to be needed. I know AJ has worked really, really well with, two-headed monsters in his career. So I don't know what the future in lies. But, I know that we have some great running backs and spearheaded by 45. And I'm just looking forward to getting to know Kadeem as a teammate and welcoming him here and helping him fit into the culture. And I'm excited to have him here because he's a dynamic running back for sure.
As a quarterback, they're never going to come out and say it, not while they're playing, not while they're teammates. But there have been some guys that have come through every level of football, incredible talent, could do all sorts of things, except be able to block for the quarterback. And if I'm a quarterback, and that's how I make my money, and that's my livelihood, and I can't trust the guys in the backfield, how good is it for Trevor Harris to know that Kadeem Carey is one of the best blocking backs in the CFL?
Oh, he's sensational. And again, that's one of the things that really excites Mark Mueller, Trevor Harris, and the entire group is the way that he can fit in and knows how to block in the Canadian Football League.
Now, he's on the practice roster, got to earn his spot. AJ Ouellette may play this week. He was out there practicing today. Thomas Bertrand-Houdon, who had, I think, a breakout game. That's safe to say. That could be a double dose of them when we go to Hamilton. All right, so this offensive line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, you had a chance to ask him about the offensive line being the best in the CFL and the way they graded out and how happy that makes Harris.
Oh, they're awesome. It's been amazing to see, Ed and Mark, lead those guys up front and the running backs be able to, do their part in protection. Wide receivers do their part in protection. And they've been nothing but short of amazing, ever since I've been here. And so I'm just really thankful to play behind them. And, I try and, reciprocate the love and try and get the ball out quick when I can. And, that way when we do need an extra click, they can hold up for us. And they've just done a tremendous job. And shoot, no matter how depleted you get, I just hear slander every week in the news about them, oh, they're down this guy, down that guy. And they just continue to play well. And it's a credit to the guys up front, the leadership, the coaching, and, Ed and Mark have done a great job. And the leadership up front with Logan and Yoshi, they've just done a tremendous job. And Tater and those guys, so.
Dave, we had said that Kadeem Carey and any of the new players brought to town need to be wrapped in bubble wrap, not to be touched, because for the rest of the week, Dave, fingers crossed, nobody else ends up on the injured list, and that it's all systems go for Hamilton